Hello friends, in this video we are going to look at mouse events in Java AWT. So there are two kind of mouse events, I mean the mouse listeners. One is mouse listener and another one is mouse motion listener. So the prerequisite here is we are considering that AWT frame window is already available. If you want to create AWT frame window, you can watch this video example from our playlist 04 Java AWT. So let us understand mouse listener and mouse motion listener. So if you see, we have mouse listener in Java. So this mouse listener class can handle 5 types of event. One is mouse clicked. Other one is mouse enter and exit. Then it can handle mouse pressed and released. So a mouse listener can track all these events. So mouse clicked is one. So it can happen when you click your mouse. So mouse enter and exit is relevant to a specific component. Say for example, if your button is registered to a mouse listener, then when your mouse cursor enters the button, say for example, this is the button. So let us say that the mouse enters like this. So here we will get mouse entered, and at this stage we will get mouse left. So that's what a mouse enter and exit. So this is the button component, and if this button component is listening for mouse listener, and if we say that this is our mouse movement, then here is where the mouse is entering and here the mouse exits. So the component will fire a mouse event, and it can be handled using the mouse enter, and it will fire a event here as well, and we will get mouse exit there in that event. Okay, then we have mouse pressed and released. Say for example, you can press down a mouse button, that time it will raise a event, mouse event, and the timing is when mouse button is pressed. So when you release that mouse button, that time also mouse event is produced, but this time the event is for released. So we know that a mouse will be like this. So let's say that the mouse is having a wheel also. So we will say that this one has a left mouse button and this one has a right mouse button, and this center one is the wheel, right? So we can say a mouse is clicked when you press this button or middle or even the right. So all are clicked. So when you click any of these 3 buttons, we will get a mouse clicked. So enter exit we already saw with the button here, and pressed and released we will see. So first, all we need to do is we need to know the timing of the events. Let's say that this is our timing. So let's say the user pressed down their left mouse button here. Let's say the user pressed down their mouse button here, then after some point in time they released the button. So what happens here, we will get two mouse event. So here we will get one mouse event, and at this stage we will get one more mouse event. Here we will get one more mouse event. But this mouse event is for pressed, because here mouse button is pressed, right? So here it is for released. So we get two mouse event, and these two event together, these two events together will produce the click event. So a click event is combination of mouse pressed, then after some point in time mouse released, then we will get a click. So this click also will produce the mouse event. Right, so we get three mouse event. So if you look at the sequence, first we will get mouse pressed, and this is the timing diagram. So first we will get mouse pressed. So after some point in time user released the mouse button. So let's take the left mouse button is pressed down. After some point in time they released the mouse. So first we will get a mouse pressed, then we will get a mouse released, and since these two occurred at same location in the sense in the same XY coordinate, if this event occurs, then we will get one more event called mouse clicked. So this will be the third event. The click event will be third. So if you look at the mouse in Java, once mouse event is produced, from this mouse event itself we can get to know this information. So we can get which mouse button is pressed. So we have to use the button mask. So the masks are associated to these buttons. So in Java we will consider this as button 1, and this one is button 2, and this one is button 3. So if you want to know that middle button is pressed or not, then you have to use a mask for button 2. So that's how we will handle this mouse listener. Now we will think about the mouse motion listener. So we looked at mouse listener previously. Now it's a mouse motion listener. The mouse motion listener can track. So this will also produce the mouse event during the mouse movement. There are two kind of movement. One is mouse move, and another one is mouse drag. So let's say that this is our mouse movement. So let's say that this is our mouse movement. So what happens when mouse is moving like that? The Java AWT will periodically send mouse event when the mouse is moving. So if you see at each point we will get a mouse move event. So how quick it will be, it depends upon the how quick you are moving the mouse. So if you moved it very fast, then there will be only 2 or 3 mouse event, but if you move slowly, then you will get multiple mouse move events. So at this each location, that means during the mouse move, you will get a mouse event again. Then from this mouse event you can get actually the x and y coordinate of the cursor position. That means this is the pointer position while moving, right? So if you follow this cursor location, this is how it is moving. So when it is moving like that, each time we will get some mouse event. So how frequent depends on the AWT event producing system. So this one is mouse move. So mouse drag is something different. So it's also kind of this movement only, but during the mouse drag, either one of these button is in a pressed state. So for example, here mouse pressed after some point in released, right? So mouse is pressed here, but before releasing the mouse, let's say the mouse pointer is moving like this. So this is what called mouse drag. That means mouse pressed, then mouse is dragging. Then after some point in time we will release the mouse also. But since x and y is not same between a press and released, it will not produce the click event. So you will not get a click event. So anyhow you will get, so here mouse is pressed, then mouse is dragged. After some point in time the mouse is released. So once it is released, you will not get a mouse drag handler, but you will get a mouse move. So all mouse events are directed to mouse move, but when any of these 3 buttons is in pressed state, then you will get the mouse event in the mouse drag. So that's what we call. So when we click any of the button and we kept it in pressed down state, and when we move the mouse, we call that as a mouse drag. So if you freely move your mouse, that's a mouse move. Alright, now let us see an example. So here in this example, what we are going to do, we will create a frame window. We'll create a frame window. So inside the frame window we will add one panel. So this panel we will register with both the listener. So we will register it with the MouseListener as well as the MouseMotionListener. Right, so this we will add it to the center location of the border layout, because frame window, so this one is our frame window. So the frame window's layout is border layout, right? So we will add the panel to the center location of this frame window. Then in the south location, of the frame window, we will add a label. This will be our label control. So this label we will use it for status text. So since this panel is added to the MouseListener, it will start receiving all the mouse events. Say for example, so if your mouse moves like this, then we will get mouse enter at this location and mouse leave at this location if direction of move is this way, right? If direction of move is this way, here we will get mouse enter, here we will get mouse exit, and the handler will go inside this panel itself, but the label is in the frame window. So inside the handler we will update the status of this label stating that mouse entered, mouse exit, all those stuff. Also, when mouse is moving, it produces the mouse event periodically, right, when it is moving. So when it is moving like this, we will take X and Y coordinate and we will display it here. Alright, now let's go and create this example. So here is our main entry. Here we are creating a frame window, and in the frame window we need to create a panel. So this is our AWT package here. Now I'm right clicking here and choosing new class. So this is the package name. Here we are creating a mouse test panel. So package name should start with a lowercase letter, and here just leave it. So during the class itself, we should have chosen the panel. So now I'm manually doing it. Extends. So this class extends a panel. So first we will implement mouse listeners as well. First we will implement the mouse listener. In the panel, I'm just keeping implements. Mouse listener from Java AWT. Next we are choosing add unimplemented methods. So it created this. So here in the outline panel, I'm just right clicking this, then I'm choosing source. Generate constructor from superclass. So this is the option I am choosing. So I don't want this version of constructor. Let me go with this specific version. And if you see here, since we asked for mouse motion listener, it created two listener for this. One is mouse dragged and another one is mouse moved. So as explained in the picture, we need a label, right? So I'm declaring that here, label. Then in the constructor we need a label. Then we will initialize the label. After that we will set a preferred size for our panel. So our constructor is ready, so we can construct this panel. And when we are constructing, we need a label, so we need to send that label. We will send this label from our frame window. Frame window means, so from here we will create that panel and we will send it. We will send the label control. So this part is ready. Panel part is ready. Now so this is the main entry which creates the frame window, and here is the frame window. From frame window we have to create this mouse listener. We will do that now. So if we see, first we are creating a label. This is the status label. Then we are creating our mouse test panel. So this is the mouse test panel. We defined our own mouse test panel which extends panel. Why? Because we need a status label here and we want to handle the listeners. So we extended a custom class from panel. So this is our panel class, mouse test panel class with status and mouse listener support. Then in the frame window we are creating this mouse test panel. After that we are setting a gray text, a gray background color for the panel. Once this is done, if you see here panel, so this is the panel, right? Previously we used the listener in the frame window itself. So for example the window listener, here we are directly making call to add window listener, right? So this time we are adding the listener outside the panel. So if we want, we should have done that here itself. We can call the same method here, add mouse listener. We can call here also, that's absolutely valid, add mouse listener. Then we should have paused this. Since we are doing it outside, here we are creating the panel instance, then we are setting the background to gray. After that we are registering the mouse listener with this panel. So we are passing the panel instance itself. Why? Because what is expected here is, it expects a class that implements a mouse listener. If you look at our mouse test panel, it implements a mouse motion listener. So that means here we need to implement mouse listener. So from Java AWT we are implementing a mouse listener. Then we will add unimplemented methods. So these are all the events, the handler function for the mouse listener. So the mouse moved, mouse clicked, mouse pressed, mouse released, mouse entered and exit. Right. Now since this mouse test panel implements mouse listener, here for add mouse listener we can pass this panel instance itself. Then we are making call to add method and we are adding this panel. That means, so to the frame window we are adding this panel to the center location. Then we are, so since we are adding it to the center location, this set preferred size is not meaningful. But if our frame window is with a flow layout, then the preferred size will be useful. So the panel will be staying with this dimension. Alright, so we added it to the center of the border layout, so the panel will expand. Then we are adding our label, status label, towards the border layout south location. So now it's time to test the appearance. So if you see, since we set a gray background, so the panel is appearing here. So this panel will receive the mouse event, and so there are two listeners implemented by this panel, MouseListener and MouseMotionListener. That means it will track all the events, it will track mouse drag, mouse move, mouse clicked, pressed, released, entered, exit, all it tracks. And so when listener calls all this method, it sends the mouse event. Now we will handle mouse pressed, mouse released, all those events. So here is the mouse entered, then we will say mouse exited, then here we will say mouse released, then here we will put a status text as a mouse pressed. Now we will check how it works. So if you see, once I enter inside this gray area, it said mouse entered. Now it is tracking the mouse. Once I exit, you can see that mouse exits. So if you see, that panel is sending the events to the listener. So the panel itself is the listener. So that's why we are getting it here. Now let us press the mouse button. So mouse entered, exits, entered. So now I am holding down my left mouse button, and if you see, it says mouse pressed. So once I release, it will say mouse released. Similarly, I can do it for right mouse button also. It says mouse pressed, and when I click, it says mouse released. If you see, I just performed a click. Now we will go and handle the mouse clicked event. So here we want to find out which mouse button was clicked. So as already told, there are 3 buttons in the modern era mouse. So in old times, in a 90s time frame, there are only 2 buttons, left and right. Now we have a middle button also. That's a multi-purpose button. You can click, or you can use that to scroll the document through mouse wheel. So the left one is the button 1, middle one is button 2, and the right one is the button 3. And if you see, first we declare a out string, then here we are receiving the mouse event. Right here we started using this mouse event. In all this case, we are not using the mouse event, we just put some status text. But here in the mouse click, you are seeing an example for how to use this mouse event. So e dot get modifier, so this will return a button mask. Then we have to perform the AND operation to know which button is pressed. So get modifier, we collected it in a integer variable. Then if you see here, we are performing the Boolean AND with the mask. So button click mask, then input event constant we are using button 1 mask. So that means here we are performing the AND operation, Boolean AND. Then we are comparing that with the input event dot button 1 mask. So this will tell when this condition returns true, we are sure that the left mouse button is clicked. The same way we are doing it for to find middle and right mouse button is clicked or not. So that's how we produce the output. So here in the out string we will have which mouse button is clicked. So now we can set our status text with this out message. Now we will test this. So this time it will produce the mouse click event, but what I'm going to do, I am going to press down my mouse button here, then I am moving my mouse, then I am releasing it here. If you see, since it is producing at a different location, it is not going to generate the mouse click event. So the mouse click event will get produced when button press and release happens at the same location. So now I'm going to do a mouse click. So it told left mouse button is clicked. Now I will press the middle mouse button. So you will get middle mouse clicked. So based on this button mask. Now we will get the X and Y location of the click also. So here we are having the status text right at the end. So this place we will add. So using the same mouse event, we can make use of a get X and get Y to know the X and Y coordinate location of the mouse. So here with the same out message, so it in the first portion it will say which mouse button is clicked, left or right or middle. Then we will say at which location the button was clicked. Now we will execute this again. So now it says that left mouse clicked at location 40,55. So if I click somewhere here, then you will see the coordinate 2,2. All right. If you see, now we will go ahead and implement mouse motion listener. So there are two handler for mouse motion listener. One is dragged and another one is moved. So now we will keep a code for dragged, and so here it is mouse event E, right? So we'll use mouse event E. So e dot get X, so just like what we did here. So this here we took X and Y coordinate when we receive the mouse clicked. So here in the mouse dragged handler we are doing the same, and we say mouse is dragged, so we will use the same message here in the mouse move as well. So here we are tracking the mouse move and as well as mouse drag. Now we will not receive this mouse motion listener because we need to add a handler here. I mean, we have to register to this handler. So here we are already registered with mouse listener, right? So what we have to do now, we have to register it with mouse motion listener as well. So it expects a class instance that implements mouse motion listener. So we will pass this the same instance because that implements the mouse motion listener as well. Now we can run and test it. So first we will get mouse entered, but we cannot able to see that way because there will be mouse motion listener that will update that status text. So if you see, we are getting a mouse mode and we get this coordinate also. So now I'm going to drag the mouse by holding the right button. So I'm pressing the right mouse button and you can see mouse pressed. Now let me release it so that you can see right mouse button is pressed. So it says right mouse clicked. Now let me hold down the right mouse button again, and when I move mouse you can see that we are getting a mouse dragged. Now I'm going to release the mouse and continue moving it, and if you see mouse moved, now I'm going to left click it, you get mouse dragged. So that's how the Java AWT event will fires this event and calls the corresponding handler method. So now let's once again see, this is the location 8993, right? So in the same location, if I press my mouse and release it, we will get a left mouse clicked. But now let me move to a different location, 9386. Now I am moving my mouse slightly, and if you see, it just produced mouse released and it doesn't produce click. That's all here in this example. Thank you for watching. Bye.